I kind of had it in my head that obviously when I'm coming to the end of my career that I wanted to stay in rugby and stay involved in rugby and go into maybe the coaching side of things. But I suppose with the advent of professionalism, a lot of people don't actually think about what they're going to do post rugby. And as you know, you're only an injury away, and it's a great addition to know that there's help there, that if you want to progress in your personal development, or if you want to get into coaching, or if you want to get advice into something that you want to get into in the real world, be a solicitor or barrister or an accountant, that advice and that help is there with the IRUPA. So I think it's a very important initiative.
No matter what you do or whatever walk of life you decide to go in, what career you'd like to follow up afterwards, I think there is a transitional period, and I think what the Alumni project is trying to do is trying to put in steps for that transitional period, and that is important. It's a difficult time in a lot of players' lives. It's a completely different environment to go out from the protected, closeted world of professional rugby into the real world, and anything that helps players manage that process better I think is a good thing.
I think from a Connacht's perspective, very, very good performance against Saracens, and I know from speaking to Pat, they were disappointed that obviously didn't win the game when they were camped on the line the last 2 or 3 minutes. Thankfully they backed it up with a very convincing win against Zebra, but in saying that, going to the RDS against Leinster, who've had 2 terrific victories themselves, it's going to be a daunting game. It always is, but at least Connacht are going there with confidence. So depending on what teams are selected, but it's going to be a difficult task. But I think Leinster in the RDS are going to be difficult, but we're going there with confidence and something to play for.
If you're going to play Connacht, you're going to have a real physical test on your hands, and if you don't turn up, you're going to get embarrassed. And it actually happened to Leinster not so long ago. I think it was maybe even last year. They got badly beaten away to Connacht. So if you're not on your game, they'll expose you, and that tends to focus the mind. Also, the week that's in it, it's all right. It's off the back of a Heineken Cup game, but there's internationals coming up. The autumn international is really important, and it's another chance to show yourself in the shop window for Joe Schmidt. Also, I'm sure there'll be some rotation in the squad. I'm sure Madigan might get a run this weekend. If he does, he'll want to perform for that, but he'll also want to show the coach that he wants to be involved in the next round of Heineken Cup games as well. So there's always plenty of motivation, because you can't switch off as a professional rugby player. Can't switch off one week to the other, because eventually you won't end up playing. If that's the case, there's consistency and a consistent level needed all over the season, and I'd be fairly sure that they'll perform to that level.
Yeah, I suppose everybody is anticipating what Joe's going to do, and very excited about what Joe's going to bring to the national setup. So but there are 3 stern tests against Samoa, Australia, and then finish with the All Blacks. So 3 tough tests for the Irish team, 3 tough tests for Joe. But I think there'll be bruising physical encounters, but we all look forward to them and see what comes out of it.
I think the stakes are that high. Joe Smith is a new coach, so he hasn't got any past favourites. He'll be picking on who he thinks is performing this season. He doesn't have to have any loyalty to anyone. He picks exactly who he wants, and without any justification whatsoever. So if you have a shocker the week before they start going into the heavy games against Samoa, Australia, New Zealand, then you find yourself out of the squad. So although you keep one eye on it, for that reason you might be performing a little bit better.